You know. What's the mother? Oh, deal. Welcome to Soft Sports. How are you doing this evening? If you're not familiar, well, that's sad. That's sad. Again, the livest conversation in all the city, talking all sports, but only Houston, man. Welcome to Soft Sports, the freshest flavor in all of the H-Town sports conversation, man. Hey, if you don't know, you better get hip real quick. I want to send a shout out to Fox 26. If you're watching on the app, definitely appreciate that. If you're watching on the tube, make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button. But we're doing a duo this evening. And so if y'all not familiar, we got a gentleman getting down with the round tonight. Who do we have in the mix this evening?
What's up, Sauce Nation? It's your boy Spitz, man. What's up, City of Houston? What's up, Fox 26? You know you're tuning into Houston's original roundtable, the original roundtable of Houston. Often imitated, never duplicated. You know, there's a lot of people out there want to be roundtables. A lot of people want to do a lot of stuff that we've been doing for a long time. Y'all already know what it is. Y'all already know who holding it down. Shout out Houston.
Already, like I said, often imitated, never duplicated, but they try. But
never.
They
try so hard.
Yeah, man, that's just sad, really. But shout out to everybody in the chat. Let's say wherever you may be. Again, there is no sauce without the fresh ingredients. So everybody watching, if you new to this, like I said, we consider you fresh ingredients. When we chop it up with each other, when we ask questions, we want to know what y'all think in the chat. That's very important because the ingredients are what make the sauce fresh. So again, y'all are just as much a part of this as we are. But like I said, there's a lot to talk about tonight. A lot of stuff to get into. And just, around the sports scene of Houston, period. So, let's not waste too much more time. But real quick, little Sauce Nation roll call in the chat if you don't mind. Shout out your side with pride. Wherever you may be, if you are in the greater Houston area, shout out your side. Shout out your neighborhood, block, cul-de-sac, avenue, boulevard, street, circle, whatever it may be. Your military ranking, however you identify, however you get down, man. It's a lot of love for H-Town. If you're not in the greater Houston area, well, make better life decisions. Anyway. No, if you ain't even from Houston, we still got love for you. But let's get into it, man. Let's kind of just go ahead. Like I said, the title's The Elephant in the Room is Deshaun Watson. There's still a matter at hand of dealing with Deshaun. What are you going to do? The Texans seem to have gotten their coaching staff in place, so they kind of I hope y'all still there. Some technical difficulties. It's been going on off and on all day, and I apologize. My ISP has been having some outages. They said it was supposed to be resolved by 6:30, but apparently it didn't. Anyway, back at it. You know what I'm saying? Back at it. If y'all in there, drop a one in the chat. If we lost you, we apologize for the technical difficulties. But like I said, we've kind of got the roster together, and now we're at a point where it's like you're figuring out your identity, these type of things, with what kind of team you're going to be. But like I said, you got a $40 million man on the roster, and as far as we know, he's dead set on not playing for this team. So at this point, like, what do you feel is the move for the Texans? And we've also, like I said, kind of got the draft coming up. I know you got a lot of people on team meals. You've heard Lovie say some things like, what do you think are the options with Deshaun? And then when we kind of start looking at the draft, if he's not on this roster, you think they're going with Mills, or should we be looking towards a QB, in the draft?
Well, I don't think we should be looking towards QB draft. I mean, unless you're talking about another late, like a late second, early third, which is where you basically got Mills. You got Mills last year, the 3rd round pick. So I'm not for wasting any draft capital on none of these quarterbacks. Because I definitely wouldn't take Corral or Pickett with that 3rd pick in the draft. And those I might be the only 2 guys who go in the 1st round. You don't want to, like I said, don't waste any draft capital. I mean, this team is deployed of talent. I mean, this might be the worst roster since 02. It could, in some people's eyes, it was worse than 02, and you can't argue that. So you need to do whatever you can to put them to put a good team around Lovie and Davis Mills. So what you need to do, you need to put a lot of draft capital, a lot of draft equity into that defense, getting some players on the offensive line, getting some other skill players as far as running backs, receivers, tight ends, things of that nature. So I don't think you should waste any draft capital on a quarterback in this draft and just roll with Mills. Now, if you're talking about maybe bringing somebody in via free agency, that depends on what type of guy we're bringing in, what type of contract. I'm not for the Jimmy G's. I'm bringing in Russell Wilson, that doesn't do you any good either, because he's a guy who will probably play another 5 years. I mean, this team is not built right now to win, so I'm not doing none of that.
Would you entertain famous James?
I actually would. I actually would.
Okay.
I actually would. I would. I actually would. The reason why is because at the very least, it's going to be very entertaining.
Yeah.
I mean, he could get you 30 to 35 touchdowns. Now, he might get you 25 to 30 picks, but that's neither here nor there. At least it'll be
don't tell me it's doing it again. Okay, now we good.
It paused again.
Okay, now it's over for a second. Okay.
See, okay, I'm trying. Hey, that's Nick Casario unplugging. I know we can't let all the secrets out. We can't let the secrets out. That's what's going on. Mm-hmm. But like I said, it depends on what type of guy you bring in, what type of contracts you bring in. So I would rather go ahead and get pieces around and try to go after a quarterback in next year's draft. And to the $40 million guy who's still on the roster, do y'all know that, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's March 20th, either 19th, March 20th, or March 21st, one of the three, that Deshaun's contract for his salary for 2023, not the 2022 season, because the 2022 season salary is already guaranteed. It was guaranteed when he signed. But if he's still on this roster by March 20th, his contract is guaranteed through 2023. That money becomes guaranteed money. So now, if you trade them, even if you trade them after that, the team who takes on Deshaun Watson is on the hook for that. But that right there is telling you, okay, you need to start getting some of these deals done, start moving the trade and moving in this trade scenario if you decide to move on from. Now, I'm of the mindset, I would prefer Watson because I think he's a better player. But if you just dead set have to trade him because he doesn't want to play, doesn't want to put on the jersey and uniform again, you gotta find you the best deal. You gotta find you the best deal possible. And it's some deals like that. Now I know he kind of has control. See, this is the thing about Deshaun. Deshaun is asking for a trade, and at the very same time making it very difficult to get himself traded. The legal situation standing, and the whole no trade clause. I seen a report that he nixed the trade to Carolina. We heard that last year he nixed the trade to Philly. So my thing is this: if you want to get out here so bad, this situation is so horrible.
Exactly.
If a team wants you, take the trade. Yeah. So he's asked. He said, "I don't want to play for you. I want to get traded." All that cool. So now we got to find a trade partner. You got these legal situations. Miami say they out. Denver say they out. New York say they out. All right, dang. All right, so okay, we got Philly and Carolina. I don't want to go there. So now you like, okay, now you taking yourself out trade situations, and then also your legal situations take you out trade situations. But at the same time, you asking for a trade. So it makes no sense. Like, you making it harder on yourself. That's part of the reason why you're still in Houston.
But do you think? I mean, ultimately though, is he really losing? Like, to the fans, it's infuriating. I'm sure to the Texans front office, it's a hindrance. But to him, is it really a L? Because as long as he's with the Texans, more than likely, it don't seem like they're gonna try to play him. They're gonna pay him. Like you said, his money's gonna be guaranteed here pretty soon. If they don't bust a move, is he really other than not playing? But that's him not getting hurt or whatever else you want to call it, or a year onto the career. Is he really taking an L? Like, it's frustrating for us because we want to see something on the field. We don't want these assets being held up, but it's kind of a win for him. Would you say, or do you think he's losing by not being on that field?
What do you say about sitting at home and getting $30 million to sit at home? I mean, I know people who sit at home, but they ain't got $30 to. They ain't got $30 to rub together, and they sit at home. He gets $35 million to sit at home. Like, come on, man. Like, hey, he winning. Him and David Culley, they are. We talk about Black history, but these are the black men who are winning. These are the men who are winning. We're Black history, but these are the men. These men are getting $22 million and $35 million to do absolutely nothing. They're the ones who's winning.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, that's some history right there. Boy, I wish look, I'm trying to get on that level. Pay me. Come in to sit at home. You'll never see me. I will disappear. I'll evaporate. I'll never come out the house. It'd be door dashing and ordering everything. All kind of maids and everything. But yeah, it's crazy. So like, to him and to his team, it's kind of like, well, what do we have to be in a rush for? What do we have to really bust a move for? Like, we can sit here and make these demands because after that contract got signed, it's like he has, the leverage. And we've kind of argued back and forth about that initially when we were kind of waiting to get up to this point of the season, and now where we are, who really had the leverage. It's looking like at this point him, because the $10 million was one thing, but now when you're talking about paying a guy basically $2 million a game, maybe a little bit more than that, to not play any of the games, that becomes a problem. That becomes a real issue. Right. And so, again, like you said, he's going to sit at home and chill. It don't matter to him. So the Texans are kind of on the hook as to what can we do? So you got two things going on. You want to get this standard, this level of assets that you want, because you know what he can do. And, it's kind of just one of these once-in-a-lifetime situations. So, asking for a high price, but then he's got these picky demands. Don't want this, don't want that. And like you said, if you want it out, you would think you'd be on the first train smoking. Like, if it was really about not wanting to be here, then you'd go anywhere. But again, like the Miami thing was the link the whole season. There've been rumors and all this other stuff tied with that. Looks like they out on that. The whole Flores, and it's like I say, it's just so much drama associated with it. Me personally, I think I'm ready to move on. If he were to come back, like I think we mentioned a couple of streams back, like he'd have to take this team somewhere else before I get off his case. And we ain't talking about the legal case, before he wins back the respect of the city to me. So to me, I'm just kind of at the point, let's get whatever assets we can. We got so many holes, we got so many needs that it's going to be a while. Anyway, let's just go ahead and move in a different direction. But like I said, everything's being held up. And I didn't know about that thing, but you said March 20th, something like that. Like I said, me not knowing about 20th. To me, that would be, something to light a fire under the Texans, because, that caveat seems like it would turn some teams off. Somehow my phone been in my pocket. I'm trying to order a Little Caesars pizza. I don't even know how that worked. But anyway, just buttons and stuff getting pushed. Pizza. Anyway, but let's kind of talk about that situation, because, depositions are going on and legal filings are happening. I'm no lawyer, you know what I'm saying? I know you know Esquire, so maybe you may, have a better understanding than I, but I know that some things were trying to get pushed back. They were trying to push back Watson's having to, I guess, be deposed, if you will. And then they threw some kind of caveats in. I think the women who've already gone through the legal process, or possibly I think that have already been deposed or filing a criminal complaint, they can depose Watson, and then the ones who haven't can't, and then this whole thing about April 1st, like a lot of little caveats, right? And then
Right, yeah, right. It's a lot of hidden language. From my understanding, is this. Now all 22 women have been deposed from Rusty with Deshaun's lawyer. He hasn't deposed all 22 yet. So they need to depose all of them before they can depose Deshaun. Now he's deposed some of them. So Rusty Harden, no Rusty, I'm sorry, Tony Bugsby, the lawyer of the plaintiffs, of the women who have been deposed. I'm just using a number. I'm not for sure. I think it might be 8. I think 8 women have not been deposed. Or 8 women have been deposed. So if the 8 women who have been deposed, Bugsby can depose Deshaun on their behalf. Because basically he's going to get deposed and ask the same amount of questions 22 times, because each 22 women is its own separate case. So they're not all lumped into one. They're each on individual cases. So he's gonna depose Deshaun 8 times until Rusty deposes the other women. Now Bugsby has another high profile case going on right now, so he won't even depose Deshaun. It was supposed to be Thursday, but he won't even depose Deshaun until a couple of weeks anyway, because of they said probably by mid-March, because he has another case that he has going on this, I guess, a bigger, higher profile than this Deshaun Watson case, because this is all civil and it's all circumstantial evidence. There's no real evidence. It's all he say, she say. So is really like, it's tied to a big name, because of Deshaun Watson, Houston Texans, football, NFL, big name. But in the world of legalness, it's on the back burner. It's not. They're not. That's part of the reason why HPD is taking so long to do a criminal on the 10 criminal cases. It was the 10 criminal complaints. HPD is taking their time and dragging their feet, because it's not a real big deal to them. It's on the back burner. It's not a priority. It's a priority to us, because people either want Deshaun to get traded or want Deshaun to stay, whatever the case may be. We keeping our eyes on it. It's big news to us. Anytime something drop, we like, ooh. But in the legal world and in the criminal world, this is on the back burner.
Okay. Now I know they said that there's a potential for those who did file criminal complaints. The possibility, I think it's slim. I think probably most people feel it's slim. Like you said, a lot of hearsay, like he say, she say, so it is what it is. But there's a possibility, right? That I think they said by April 1st, they have until April 1st or something like that to actually file charges, if any are to be filed. What do you think the likelihood of that is happening, if there will be criminal charges filed? And let's say there are, how does that impact, the conversations that are going on around Deshaun? Does that put the Texans back at square one? Do you think it hinders anything, or people don't care? Or, how do you think that would play out if they do go ahead with charges?
Oh, if charges happen to be filed, that's going to be a huge blow for the Texans if they're interested in trading Deshaun Watson and the people who want Deshaun Watson traded. Because if it's criminal cases tied to it, teams ain't touching it. Yeah. Like, even though I say this, I don't think the teams really care. But if you tied in criminal situations, actual criminal cases, being charged with criminal acts, sex criminal acts, and things like that, with the volume of the people, because the criminal cases will be 8. Because 10 criminal complaints. Yeah, I don't think teams would go by that. And then also, if criminal charges do get filed, Deshaun's definitely going to get suspended. I feel like Deshaun probably gets suspended anyway. But if it's criminal cases, it's going to be it'll just be a whole bunch of mess. And Deshaun Watson would definitely be a Houston Texan for the foreseeable future. Now, honestly, the likelihood of cases being of him getting actual criminal charges pressed against him, 0. I know you fellas know my name, man. Like I really don't see it. I don't. I don't see it. I don't see it, because there's no evidence. And then if you listen to what the women were saying, all pretty much have the same case. Have the same thing. Like, none of them really said that he forced himself on them. They all said they made him feel uncomfortable. He made them feel uncomfortable. He made them touching areas that they didn't want to touch and things like that. But nothing there was nothing. No rape. Yeah, and no rape kits can be used because they didn't say he did that. So there's no kits to be used. So like I don't see, unless somebody got some footage, some video footage. I don't see where any real criminal cases can, like really criminal charges can actually be filed. I don't. Now, like I said, unless there's some new evidence that we don't know about. Like I said, somebody got some film, somebody got some text messages of him admitting to doing something. Like I don't. From what I've seen of the cases, I don't think anything could be filed from a criminal standpoint.
And I agree with you because I think that if there was really something concrete enough to make that happen, then it probably would have happened already. You know, if it's
Right.
some open and shut type evidence, it would have happened already. So,
And yet, and I don't think in that sense, I don't think HPD would be dragging their feet if they, because think about this. Like, y'all got to think about this. And I know a lot of people don't hear, but you got to, like, when you talk about athletes, high profile people, those are big fish. If they can catch them doing something wrong, if they can catch their hands in the cookie jar, they're gonna close that cookie jar with the quickness.
yes.
This just is what it is. If they catch famous or rich people with their hands in the cookie jar doing something they ain't got no business, they are gonna clamp down on it with the quickness because they want to be the detective or whoever.
Perfect.
Man, look, my apologies, y'all. Like I'm saying, I'm having some technical difficulty. It's just some outages. Like I said, it's been kind of on and off on my end all day. Like I said, the stuff was supposed to be done by 6:30, but apparently it is still going on. So, like I said, if y'all are catching some outages, I apologize. My apologies. It's definitely on me. And I forgot where we were. You were actually making a good point. We were talking about, I believe we were talking about the cases, and then everything kind of went wonky on us. But yeah, like I said, it's ultimately it's a situation where I say you got a guy who is taking up a lot of cap space, who's not contributing to the team, and it becomes a problem. So you got to do something about that because as far as the culture or whatever you're trying to call it, or moving forward, you you can't be paying all these people who are not contributing. Like, if I'm not mistaken, you still sending a check to Billy O. You got a check going to Gaines. I'm not sure when that's done. I think like maybe a year left on that.
Yeah.
I think you got a check going to Cully. You got like I say, then you're paying a guy $10 million not to play. You got all this money, and even though the cap space and coaching money is separate. I get that, but it's still you got a lot of money just going to nothing. I mean, you're paying a lot of people who are not doing anything for your organization.
Just like you paid $5 million to a law firm to help with your coaching and GM search, you didn't take none of their advice. Like Cal McNair is literally peeing money down the toilet. Like that's what he's doing. That's exactly what he's doing. He's peeing it down the toilet. Like seriously. Like he's the definition of a rich kid that's spoiled, that gets daddy and mommy's credit card and goes crazy with it. That's exactly what he's doing. Like, he's spending all this money. He's spending all this money. He's not doing anything to get the money back because he's not doing what he needs to do to get fans in the stands, to put a product on the field for us to watch so they can generate the money. The only money he's basically living off of the money that the NFL gives them with the TV deals. That's really what he's doing.
Basically.
And then the other money I know probably from other companies and that the McNairs have their hands in, but and things like that. But still, I'm not saying that he's about to go broke. I'm just saying he's out there just spending money left and right for no reason. Money is being wasted. Like, money's being wasted. I don't care that he's a billionaire. Remember, he's a second generation billionaire. He didn't earn it himself. This is all inheritance. This is all, like, this ain't nothing he got out the money. This is all inheritance. And eventually, maybe not with him, but eventually, if you don't run this ship right, the money will run dry. Believe it. There's plenty of billionaires who are end up becoming broke eventually.
Right.
So you can't afford to constantly spend money. I'm not saying he's in danger of being broke. I'm just saying you can go broke.
Can go broke. And yeah, what it was you were speaking on, I think you were talking about right when it went out. You were talking about getting caught with the hand in the cookie jar. And then that's when everything kind of went out. But people making the case for him.
Oh, right. No, just saying that that they want to catch the big fish. So if they can find out that Deshaun did something criminal, that they could press criminal charges, and they gonna do that. I insert Michael Vick.
Yes.
They did everything they could to go find to get all the dirt dug up on Michael Vick because that was a big fish. He was an NFL star who just got a $1 million contract, multi-million-dollar contract, $100 million contract. I mean, a $100 million contract. He was a superstar player. Everybody knew who Michael Vick was. Atlanta Falcons ran all over everybody doing the Superman, whatever. Everybody knew who they was, and they gave him 2.5 years, sentenced him 2.5 years in jail for dogfighting. If his name was Michael Smith and just was a regular trap dude in the streets, he would not get no 2 years for no dogfighting. Stop it. Y'all know he got what he got because of who he was. They found him doing something criminal. They were able to press charges against. He was the big fish. They don't have any real evidence, in my opinion, from what I've seen, unless somebody's holding something, that Deshaun to be that big fish, they can catch him with his hands in the cookie jar. I don't see it. I don't. I could be wrong, but from what I've seen, I don't believe it. I don't think any criminal charges are going up against him. I don't.
And shout out to Luke because he brings up a good point about it not necessarily being up to HPD, but the DA's office. And yeah, depending on what you got going in there, because that's I know they can make or break you. So definitely it may be something going on there. Like I say, and trust me, the DAs definitely want to make a name for themselves. If anybody wants to make a name for themselves,
yes.
DAs want to make a name for themselves. And so yeah,
Right.
if it was there. If it was there, they'd hit him with everything they got, because
right.
I think what it is. And Rich Cruz, I agree. Texans definitely need to rebrand. We've talked ad nauseum about the uniforms and everything else. Just that just needs to change. Like the Texans have this funk on them, right? Like, and it's just you wash it. It's kind of like getting hit by a skull. You can wash it. You can do all this other stuff. That stench is still going. It's going to be a real tough stench to get off, and some of it is unjust, right? Because we know the allegations of racism and, all of these things. And now you're looking at a team probably with the most black coaches on the staff compared to anybody, you know what I mean? And so, and then we want to talk about the number of black head coaches that have been hired. So I think that's unwarranted. What you got?
I have 18 coaches on the coaching staff. I think like 12 of them are black.
Yeah. So, that's racism at its finest. But, and so it's kind of like a situation where they need to get that old Texans image off of them, but they are so stuck on, I don't know what it is. I don't know what you want to call it, that football feeling or whatever they were calling it last year. But they need to distance themselves and kind of do something a little bit different, a little bit more modern. I know they called themselves getting a new bull last year and doing some AR stuff. But again, it's just this team feels so cookie cutter. We've talked about it again, how it doesn't feel like Houston, how the Roughnecks came in a matter of weeks, took over the vibe of the city. People were going crazy. People were happy. And winning is a thing, but just the energy, they'd have guys, local rappers, artists at the games. Like they did things that gave it, that Houston feeling, right? Football is football, but you got to put that Houston into it, not going to getting Vanilla Ice and, old retired rappers and things like that don't nobody want to hear, like they have no ties to the city. So, it's an issue, but I don't see them straying away from that anytime soon. I definitely don't expect to see any new uniforms. They put the logo on the back, so that's about as new as it's going to get. So.
And the problem is they don't have the right, again, we just talked about this, they don't have the right people around. That's the reason why you don't embody the city of Houston. Let's call it spade a spade. The Texans are owned by the Texans ownership is out of towners. The McNairs are not from Houston. They're not from Texas. I think Bob McNair was and his wife. I think they're from South Carolina. No, they're from Georgia, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's where they're from. They're from Georgia. I know he went to South Carolina, but they're from Georgia originally. So you have people who are not from the city of Houston. So how could they embody or have a product that embodies the city of Houston or the state of Texas rather when they're not even from their own state? Like Houston, from a culture standpoint, especially in a music and a rap culture, Houston is one of the most mocked and mimicked cultures out there. Like, let's call it a spade. So when you do have the Roughnecks who come in and they go out there and the team DJ, the DJs the stadium is Cali from 979. You have all the Houston rappers and local Houston celebrities come out there to the games doing all type of stuff. Now you say, yeah, winning is a huge part of it. You win, they're gonna come. And it's football in the state of Texas, they're gonna come. But it felt like Houston. Yeah. It felt like Houston. When you watched it, you felt like you was in Houston. You felt like you was Houston. The biggest thing that they do for Houston is throw up the H, and half of them do that wrong anyway. It looks forced. It looks ginky. It doesn't look like it's just a natural throwing up the H. I know we just talked about Deshaun, but like Deshaun probably had the most natural throwing up the H out there, but nothing else embodies the city of Houston. How we have Houston legends from a music standpoint make a song about the franchise and it never gets played in the stadium.
Yeah, that's crazy.
How we have car shows in NRG. NRG hosts car shows, but yet Toro will never ride on the slab on swingers. Like just something gimmicky. Like something like that. But yes, you do all this other stuff that has nothing to do with the city of Houston. There's nothing to do with the city of Houston. Probably the most thing that they do from a branding standpoint is associate barbecue. That's it.
Yeah, and then your GM don't even eat barbecue. You got a GM that don't like barbecue. I don't even want to get into that, but I do. If we talk about Houston culture, I want to segue for it, but we're gonna come back to some Texas talk. But I feel like the other teams in the city got Houston down. You know, even Professor Trill himself, who was once an anti-soccer individual, once he found out, you know, how the Dash and the Dynamo do, they hashtags will hold it down with the H. Like, that's how they represent. Or for the city, you had the Cougs doing that. You have all these teams. You have everybody, it seems, but the Texans who do it for the H, or you know, whatever hashtag. And it's just like the Texans are just kind of
Crush City, Crush City, Clutch City, Crush City.
Exactly. Like you don't get that other than the name Houston. You don't get that we're doing it for the city feeling. You know what I'm saying? You don't get that for Houston feeling. But I want to talk about the Rockets for a second, just briefly, because we briefly mentioned this before the thing. All right. So when we've talked about this briefly here, and then we've had Rockets conversation. I wanted Jalen Green drafted. Thought it was a great deal. I also said that, you know, once the draft was over, I thought Al P was the most pro-ready of all the players that they picked up. I wish Christopher could get a little bit more spin. That's a whole nother conversation. But I got to talk about my guy Jalen. And it's something I tell y'all all the time. If y'all been watching the Sauce, if you follow on social medias, make sure you Sauce Sports HTX on Instagram and Twitter, Sauce Sports on Facebook. I ain't put them on the thing. Appreciate people for what you know them for, right? Because I've told y'all I think a lot of athletes and celebrities are kind of corny, right? It's easy to look cool when you got money and you got nice things, but a lot of times you see athletes, you see these celebrities do some corny stuff, and I'm not gonna lie. Jalen Green's NFT dunk thing, and don't get me wrong, I collect those NFTs. Shout out to Wise, you know. But that whole just act around it was super corny to me. Like, I don't know what you're talking, like putting your phone necklace on, wearing it for a couple and then taking it right back off, like, and then you proceed to blow the dunk attempt like multiple times, like almost 10 times. You know what I mean? Like that's unacceptable. Like, be more concerned about the dunk. And I get showmanship and I get all that other stuff. Like, it was very disappointing. And overall, the dunk contest was pretty pedestrian. But just that, because again, like I said, being a Rockets guy and knowing what Jalen Green can do, you know what I'm saying, the hops and everything, is just, I was quite a bit disappointed. But you, even though you're not a Rocks fan, how did you feel about the dunk contest and, you know, kind of what you saw with it?
Horrible. Worst dunk contest ever. It's bad. Like, it's just bad. It's just unimpressive. Like, and I watched a lot of dunk contests. I've seen a couple of my guys from Dwight Howard winning the dunk contest as the Magic, from Aaron Gordon having two amazing dunk contests that he didn't win either one. Like, I mean, the one with him and Zach LaVine is a classic. I mean, I don't care what nobody say. That one with him and Zach LaVine and was it 16? 17, one or two. I think it was 17. Like that's a classic. Like they went back and forth, and then he did it again and back in 2020 before the pandemic started. He put on another show, and so I'm used to seeing stuff like that. I'm used to seeing guys put on shows, and guys are not putting on shows. Like guys, and part of the reason why is because you don't have stars in the dunk contest anymore. I mean, we seen people like Kobe, his rookie year, go out to a dunk contest. So we seen the Vince Carters, and we've seen other people, and this all started to on Trill's favorite player, and I use that word loosely. This is when the trend started with Trill's favorite player, the King James. He's been in the game for 20 plus years. How many years it is? Has never entered the dunk contest once. Always felt he was too good to be in the dunk contest. And these kids who coming out now follow in pursuit. Like when you hear John Moran say, "I have no interest in being dunk contest." Why not? The dunk contest would be live if John Moran was in it. The dunk contest would be live if Zion is in it. Like those are the type of players that we need in the dunk contest. I'm actually happy that Jalen Green didn't feel like he was too good to be in the dunk contest, but he was just unimpressive. Yeah. Like he was just unimpressive, but at least he had the want to. I have to give him his credit right there. At least he had the want to be in the dunk contest. But like these kids who coming up now have no interest because they follow in pursuit. They do what LeBron do. They just do what LeBron did going forward. That's what these guys are mimicking, and they're going to continue to do that. So you're going to see. That's why you're going to see all these third and fourth rated guys in the dunk contest, guys you ain't never heard of before being dunk contest, because the super athletic guys ain't really in it no more, and then the star players damn sure not in it no more, and that's part of LeBron.
So. And I agree, because you said you never seen MJ. MJ wanted to conquer everything. MJ wanted it all, like right. Whether it was a friendly
MJ
competition. Yeah, exactly. Whether it was supposed to be a quote unquote friendly competition in a dunk contest, or you talking about any like, and that's part of that killer instinct that people talk about when it comes to LeBron. Like, I don't feel like he's a guy that wants to entirely dominate every aspect of everything. You know, he kind of relies on others to do things. You know, he delegates a little bit.
He's passive, very passive aggressive.
Very passive aggressive. But I kind of sticking on LeBron real quick. He said something else, and I want to know your thoughts on this. So he said that, you know, his last year would be one to play with Bronny, basically. So, you know, guys got to go to college for a year and then before they get in there. But he said that it wouldn't be about the money at that point. He would just love to be able to play 1 year with his son somewhere. How do you feel when it's, you know, when Bronny comes up and he's in the draft? How is that? Do you think that's going to be a positive impact or a negative impact if it's a situation you get LeBron James for a year if you draft Bronny?
I think it's a bad situation. Because I think that LeVar did all the hype and got Lonzo, took it number 2 overall to the Lakers. But in saying that, he was also to Lonzo's detriment because of all the hype and all the pressure that he put up on his son. And once he backed off, we see that Lonzo has progressed. He didn't do the same thing with LaMelo. LaMelo's coming out the gate balling. Yeah. So I think that if LeBron's on the same team as Bronny, that's going to be very, very overbearing. Yeah. And unless you talk about a coach that's very secure, like a Greg Popovich or maybe even a Doc Rivers or just a coach who's very secure, Eric Spoelstra, because it's probably the best coach LeBron's ever had in Miami. Eric Spoelstra, a coach who's very secure in their job and know what. Are you gonna be able to coach Bronny because his dad gonna be right there? You know, it's just like, you know, like how. You know, like if you was acting up in school and your mama come in and she's sitting in the back room, you gonna be
yeah, you on your A1 behavior.
You act like you doing all the work. Your hand raised, all the questions. Like you know everything. Like you know everything. You ain't talking. Everybody try to talk to you. You just Because your mama back there, she like, yeah. You already know. So it's gonna be that same type of situation. Except the coach is like, the coach gonna be walking on eggshells on pins and needles because am I coaching Brian too hard? Is LeBron gonna give me? Is LeBron gonna go up to the GM, the owners, give me fired because this is LeBron type situation? Like I don't think that's I think that's a recipe for disaster. And like I say, unless it's to a team, like I say, with a coach that's a very strong-willed coach, no, that ain't gonna have none of them questions about them. Like they ain't got to worry about looking over their shoulder, see they're looking for job security. Unless a situation like that, and also a coach that LeBron respects, like a Greg Popovich, like Eric Spoelstra, I don't think it's not. Or Doc Rivers, I don't think it'll work well. I really don't.
I agree with you, man, because we all know about LeBron and his passive aggressiveness. You know, he's basically a partial GM, depending on where he goes. And again, like I say, the pressure, depending on, like, I know things have changed, but I feel like you set a situation where your dad is playing with you on the team. You know,
Right.
it's just like anything. You know, like if you at practice and your parents out there or whatever it may be, like people gonna chide you, they gonna joke with you, and I think, like you said, it's gonna put unnecessary pressure on Bronny because it's like you're gonna have to live up to your dad's name, and your dad plays on the same team with you. And I'm gonna be honest, like I'm sure he's decent. I don't keep up with high school, college like that. But as far as I've heard, I don't hear Bronny being in that conversation of the best player coming out or the next coming or those kind of things. So to me, it's just
Wade's son Zaire is better, way better. Like Zaire is way better than Bronny. It's way better than Bronny.
And that's the thing. And so, like I say, a situation like that could cause a team, and depending on what LeBron's looking like in a few years, could cause a team to reach. Just because, I mean, now depending on who you are, hey, maybe some LeBron jersey sales or, LeBron being in the stadium for a year may get your attendance up or whatever. And then, who knows, Bronny may develop and become something, or LeBron may get on his ass and just say, hey, you need to, like, it's so much going on there that you really don't know the outcome, because it could be a situation like kind of a Kwame situation when you're talking about greats. Now, again, it's a difference with father and son, but you get on that team and LeBron may have a certain level of expectation, when playing, and you don't reach up to that, or, again, like I said, you're getting chastised, you're getting corrected or whatever, not only by the coach, but by your dad and, all those other things. So I think it could definitely be, it could be negative, not just for the team, but it could be negative for Bronny in the long run, and I'm wondering if this is a conversation they both had, or this is just something, that LeBron would like to do. You know what I mean? So I think that there's a lot of factors in that need to be considered. I don't think that it's the great deal, and I definitely would not be interested in him coming to Houston with nothing like that. Just
you should let your son have his own moment in the sun.
Yeah.
Don't try to like continue. How people always like live vicariously through their kids. Let your kids have their own shine. Like you had your time is up, and then LeBron, you've had your time really is up. Like you've been successful. You're like, come on now, like. Let Bronny have his legacy. Let Bronny have his moment. Says, why are you taking his moment? Like, let him have his own moment. Don't, because he's already gonna have pressure on him because he's wearing that name. Like he's wearing that name, so he already has some pressure built into it. You're gonna be at all the games. He already has pressure built into it. You're on the court with him. Like, come on, the tension is gonna be like. Don't take your son's a moment in the sun. Let him have his own moment. Like that's really my advice. Like let him have his own moment. Like I'm pretty sure. Like I say, I use this because it's the most recent example. LeVar probably won't ever admit this, but I'm pretty sure he wish he would have handled certain things differently when it came to Lonzo. That way, Lonzo would have had his own moment in the sun. Because like I say, you see the evidence. Even if he would never admit that, you see the evidence with LaMelo.
Yeah.
LaMelo ain't Triple B. LaMelo has his own shoe brand. I think he just dropped the second shoe. He's only been in the league 2 years. He's already dropped the second official shoe with an actual legitimate brand. Yeah. I understand the motive, what they was trying to do, but the way he went about it, the idea was good. Yeah. I'm with the idea. The execution and how he went about it was wrong. He made some mistakes, and it hindered Lonzo in some way. It also hindered Lonzo on the court. He's hands off with LaMelo, and you see the difference. LaMelo's thriving. Now Lonzo's starting to get that work in, but he had to take his hands off first. That's the difference. And and to LeBron, be hands off. That's all.
Definitely. I mean, I think you already got enough impact with the AAU games and, everything else. Yeah, it's a point where, because you have to consider that, am I listening to the coach? Am I listening to dad? And if there's like I say, it's just so many levels to it, just there's no need for that. I get it. It would be iconic, all that cool stuff. But ultimately, I think it's the detriment of whatever team that happens, if that happens. And I think it's ultimately to the detriment of Bronny. A couple other things. I said we'll jump back to the Texans real quick because there's a couple other things I want to entertain. And for those of you who are interested, so talking football, period, the USFL draft was tonight. And how are you feeling about that? How are you feeling about the USFL? How are you feeling about the Houston Gamblers, especially with Kevin Sumlin as the coach? Do you think that that's going to be an entertaining league, and are you interested in watching it?
They're not in Houston. Everybody's playing in Birmingham, Alabama. Me, Wise and Braylon go through this all the time. Y'all can't claim them yet. They not. Let them play. Let them wait to Houston. I know they're gonna be playing Houston next year. I know they only playing the first season in Alabama. But let them wait, and we're gonna see can they embody the city, because it was very unfortunate that the XFL, the pandemic happened, the XFL closed down, because especially how things have and are transpiring with the Texans. If the XFL would have kept on playing at that level, and the Roughnecks were doing what they were doing, I think they were 5-0 and they were crushing it, and they would have won the first XFL championship game, and then last year, say if they had another good team in that conversation, like a Comets type. Remember, the Comets won the very first 4 WNBA titles. I know it's the XFL and it's not the NFL, and it's hard to take down the NFL. Cal and the McNairs would have a huge problem from the fan bases, because you will start seeing I'm pretty sure you will start seeing a lot more Roughneck stuff than you do Texan stuff. One of the reasons, because there's a lot of people in the city of Houston who are, even though they in the city of Houston, they're not Texan fans. They might be Steeler fans, they might be Cowboy fans, might be Titan fans, might be Saints fans. But when it came to the XFL, everybody was fooling with the Roughnecks. Yeah. So they would have been. The Texans would have been the Texans would have been treading lightly of being probably the second best fan base Houston football team. Yeah. From a football standpoint, not just sports franchise, because they behind the Astros or the Rockets, they behind the XFL Roughnecks, things like that. So who's to say if those gamblers come do their thing and come in and buy the city of Houston like the Roughnecks did? The Roughnecks, I think, coming back either next year or the year after, what they be able to do. The Texans might be in trouble from a fan base standpoint, from a marketing situation, that people might start claiming for these other sport teams and not really fooling with the Texans.
Yeah. I mean, like I say, you got one of them choices with what they call it, opportunity cost. Am I going to buy this Texans jersey and they ain't doing what I like? I'm going to buy this Roughnecks jersey.
Right.
And they embody everything that, I've been about since I've been born. And I'll agree. Right. When the Roughnecks were winning, you saw more attention and more support and everything going on for the Roughnecks, a smaller league XFL team, than you were seeing going on with Houston. And, that's wild. It's hard to believe, like I say, Houston is a football city. We just want good football, ultimately. If you bring a team that's actually winning, people gonna get behind it. And if you get, like I say, Houston folks love Houston. They love the coach. Like I say, to me, it's different. We're a international city, but it's almost like you kind of got a smaller town vibe, even though we're a large city, whether it's third or fourth in the country. People here are different. Like I say, it's just a different vibe. And I think you reach out, you got to understand that. And we know, like I said, the Texans don't understand it. But the Roughnecks came in and, like I said, they just encapsulated that, and they put it out to every game. And again, like I say, even with who was it? I think they played that Dallas team. And Houston, Dallas, however y'all feel about it. If you're from Dallas, you're a terrible person. I don't care what you think. But like who was it? I think Charles Gaines. After that, he said, he said something. I forgot what the exact comment was, but he made a little comment referencing.
He said Dallas ain't never been better than Houston on nothing, and that's on top.
Yeah, and exactly. And so that's the kind of talk, that's H-Town talk right there. Because you got to like understand those kind of things. Like even think about it. I don't think the Texans have ever capitalized on any of the games between Dallas and Houston. Like you could really take that and make it, whether you win and whether you whatever it may be like, but that's something that like whoever's in that marketing department should like understand. I think
they've never marketed that game correctly. And the worst one, and actually the last time they played, that was probably the most egregious one because you had Deshaun Watson coming off of his second in the second year, the promises Deshaun had. You had the Dallas Cowboys having Dak Prescott being a Pro Bowl type of quarterback. They were playing on Sunday Night Football, like in the city of Houston. That was probably the most prime time to market that game, and they didn't. Outside of NBC marketing, outside of network marketing, that's the only thing they marketed. They didn't. They didn't market. The Texans did not market that game correctly. Like the Houston Dallas rival, not just Cowboys and Texans, just like you say, the city of Houston and Dallas.
Yes.
Battle of 45. It's so much stuff that they could have did to capture the heart of Houston, and they just always fumble the ball. They always fumble the ball. Same thing with the Titans. Yeah. Come on, the Titans are the former Oilers. There's a lot of people who are still run their league office, still runs through Houston. They still run their operations from the city of Houston. Come on, man. Y'all can't market this? Y'all can't make this a bigger game than it is? Y'all can't market this? Like, even how bad the Texans were this year and the Titans were number one seed, both of those games were competitive. You won one game, even though it was a sloppy game. You won one game, and the last game of the season was extremely competitive. We can't stand them.
Yeah, straight up.
You can market that.
Yeah.
You can market that. You want to get butts in the stands? Do that. Market that.
Yes.
Like even though your products suck, market that.
Yeah.
They have the wrong people on all accounts. We can sit up here and talk about have the wrong people in coaching staff, wrong players, wrong general managers. The people in the other offices, opposite football, the people who are doing other things. Y'all been doing these weak little social media tests of who beard is better? What was Mark Ingram doing in 2008? Who has the longest hair on the team? Like goofy stuff that nobody cares about. Yeah. Nobody cares about it. Yeah. Who has the best nickname on the team? Yeah. Who's shoe game? Like, nobody cares about none of this stuff. Like y'all the worst. Y'all the worst ran marketing team in the NFL. Like that's stupid. Nobody cares about that. You said so much culture going on with it. The other people market, the other people mimic, the other people are culture vultures. That's where the term culture vulture came from, because people come to Houston and take the culture. Yes. But yet you here indulge in it and you can't take none of it. You can't use it, none of it to your advantage, when half the people in the stadium are from the city of Houston. Over half the people, the majority of people in the stadium are from the city of Houston. You have Houston celebrities come to all your games. Slim Thug is at every Texan game. Made a song about Texas. He can't get no radio time. He can't. Like you said, you want to bring Vanilla Ice, who ain't had a hit in 40 years. You want to bring him Ice, baby.
Yeah. And there was something. I'm glad you mentioned that social media thing, because there's something I saw him do maybe last week or the week before, that thing where they put the person in the football uniform where they normally have it just standing up there, and they put a person there with scaring people on the way in. That's not original.
I seen that.
That was not original. It was a college team that did that like a year or two ago. And because I remember watching the thing, I can't remember if it was Oregon or it was another team, and that's what they did, to celebrate their new facilities or whatever. They did that same prank. And so it's just like, like the originality, the creativity. Like I give Toro props for doing the stunts and things that he did, the fall and doing all that. I would never, but a lot of the rest of the stuff, like you said, so it's just not on par with you. I would go completely nuts. Like you mentioned, if you had if I pulled up the Texans IG or something, and I seen Toro in the slab with Slim Thug or whatever, I would lose my mind. But I would connect with it. Okay, now y'all listening. Okay, now y'all here. Oh, now y'all trying to be H-Town. And you ain't got to play nothing crazy. You let him get in the slab and swing a little. So let him swing down Kirby. You know what I mean? Just and throw something catchy in it. Like people are gonna relate to that. But that's what I say is this that Houston, the Texans don't have that connection with this fan base, and that's why I think you got, especially with this the number 4 situation, you got so many people who are kind of on the brink of they're free agents. You know, I'm no longer rooting for the Texans because of, you know, whatever. And again, like people feel disconnected from it. And again, you may not feel it immediately. And I think we saw it a lot this year with the stands, because you've never seen the Texans game like that, when the stands could be full and when people could actually go to the games. You've never seen it in that condition. You know, they were still swearing that, you know, all of the seats were sold out and everything, where you could, you know, play catch in the stands and so much open space. But anyway, you know, and I agree. I don't know what it's going to take to change it. I don't know who's got to recognize or realize that, and I don't know who's, you know, above their heads that's putting the kibosh on it, or if it's even an idea that's ever come across anybody's desk in that marketing department. But they definitely need to change it up. Purple Drake said, "Bun be at the game." Exact. Like Bun. Maybe I know he be at the Rockets game. I know he be at the Astros games. I know he be at the Texas games. Like. Show the city some love. Like, to me, the Rockets thing is legit. The what is that first shot thing that they do? Like, I think that's cool. You get usually a local celebrity. Every now and then there's been somebody kind of from out of town, but for the most part, you get a local Houston celebrity. You let them take the first shot for charity or whatever. That's a good look. You know what I'm saying? That's a cool thing. Like, you got to come up with something creative, and you got to implement it and put the city into it, because they just not tapping into that, and that's a huge issue. Like, regardless of everything else that's going on, I think people would be much more supportive if they felt like this team truly represented the city. Like, you could tolerate some of the nonsense that's going on, or that has been going on in the front office and things like that over these years, if this city would have embraced more of that Houston culture, instead of we feeling like we getting Boston guys or New England guys or whatever else. It doesn't feel like Houston.
Here's some free game. This is what y'all need to do. Free promo right here.
Yeah.
This is what you gotta do. When the schedule come out, when to do the schedule come out, you just see like you say, you just hit show the slab. Hit a song like a Slim Thug song. Houston, Texas, home of the Texans. You just hear that. You see Slim Thug say coming down, and then you got Toro pop up with a sign say already.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
In a drop top with some swaggers on it.
Yeah.
Have them hold a sign say already. Like Slim Thug come through say coming down, and then Toro pop up with the sign already.
Yeah,
That's embodied Houston. We be like already, man. Like,
it's so much you could do with that, though. Like, even if you came down, you just see then you let him pop the trunk, and then Toro pop out the trunk with something. Just anything, just make a connection to the city. You know what I'm saying? Houston has a huge culture. That may not be a national thing, because nationals, you don't look at it, but if you from here and you tapped in, it's a culture that's been around for decades. This ain't nothing new, you know what I mean? And the fact that you don't even do a iota of that, a little bit of that, and add that to your team. That's why I keep saying that they feel so corporate, because it's just like you could pick this team up and put them anywhere in the country and it'll work. It's not going to be great. It's not going to be anything amazing. It'll work. People will watch it. But I don't feel like the Texans have ever really dug into the city and what it means to be a Houstonian, especially for your name to be the Houston Texans. Like, I don't feel anything Houston about it, much less Texan. You know what I mean? So
right.
It's a sad state of affairs. But, you know, we'll see what it is. We'll see ultimately, you know, what happens. But it's kind of getting about that time. And there was a couple other things we'll talk about. We'll save it for, you know, next week, because there's still plenty to talk about and plenty to discuss as we get closer to, you know, free agency, the draft, and, you know, just kind of observing this legal situation with one Deshaun. So we're going to get ready to wrap it up. Before that, I want to just say shout out to everybody. I apologize for all the technical difficulties. Mr. Spitz, anything you want to say to the people before we get ready to shut it down?
Man, appreciate y'all joining in, bearing with us with the technical difficulties. Somebody was out there was hating. I told you, there's a whole bunch of the round tables out there trying to Memphis. We got a lot of kids out there, a lot of people trying to mimic us and stuff like that. Like I say, often imitated, never duplicated. So I think what they trying to do is they trying to take some of the shine. They trying to be hangers on. We gonna see, but yeah, like I said, appreciate y'all coming out, checking out, and like I said, bearing with us with the stream. If y'all haven't, I just dropped a video yesterday about Deshaun Watson potentially going to Washington. A lot of people been talking about the whole chase factor. So check that out. Also got another one that's very, very interesting about how do the former players feel about the organization. That one's coming pretty soon. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Very, very good conversation. Hey, shout out to Fox 26.
Already shout out to Fox 26. Shout out to if you're watching on the app. A special shout out to you if you're watching on the tube. Hit that like button. Y'all already know what it is. Y'all already know every rocking. If you're a part of the Discord, you know, beat us there, don't meet us there. If you want to be a part of that, patreon.com/softsports is how you become a part of the Discord community. Like I say, man, we just appreciate each and every single one of y'all, man. Like I say, shout out to Fox 26 for providing us this opportunity. Shout out to Sauce Nation, each and every one of y'all, the fresh ingredients who make this conversation what it is. Like I said, because we can sit here and chop it up with each other all day, but the sauce is not anything without the fresh ingredients. So we appreciate y'all, everybody who managed to stick with us through the chat and continue to chop it up with us. Greatly appreciate it. So, like I said, with that being said, next Tuesday, 7 o'clock on the dot. Hopefully everything is all good, because I just got a message. They talking about there's going to be outages until 9:30. So I'm glad we really were at least able to get through this last part of it. But like I say, just shout out to everybody, and we appreciate each and every one of y'all. Noses around who couldn't make it. Shout out to everybody. But with that being said, special shout out to Spitz, chunking up a deuce. Y'all be cool like y'all be cool. But most of all, y'all stay saucy and put Toro in the slab. All right, Toro on swingers, on Kirby. Otherwise, the Texans ain't real.
Throw them dates. He just throw dates and say already.
Exactly. That's all it's gonna take, man. If you just saw that, just a little clip of it, you know, people would go nuts. Do you like? Anyway, if you're in the Discord, we'll talk about it. If you're not, don't miss out on it. Best conversation in the city. Chuck the produce. Y'all be cool like y'all be cool, but most of all, y'all stay saucy.